Good day, everyone. Today, we are going to discuss the natural law theory. Here is the some key takeaways. The first one, the theory of natural law says that humans possess an intrinsic sense of right and wrong that governs our reasoning and behavior. So, malalaman natin kung bakit sinabi ng theory of natural law na ang mga tao ay nagtataglay ng intrinsic na kahulugan ng tama at mali based sa ating pangangatwiran at pag-uugali. Then the second one is the concept of natural law are ancient, stemming from the times of Plato and Aristotle. Matatalakay din natin yung concept ng natural law na nagmula sa time nila Plato at Aristotle. Then the last one is natural law is the constant throughout time and across the globe because it is based on human nature, not on culture or custom. So, sinabi din dito na ang natural law daw ay nakabatay sa kalikasan ng tao, hindi sa kultura at kaugalian. So, ano nga ba ang natural law? The term natural law is derived from belief that human morality comes from nature. So, yung paniniwala nila dito, no, na ang human morality ay nagmula sa kalikasan. Sinabi din dito na ang lahat daw ng makikita sa kalikasan ay may layunin, including tayo na humans. So tama naman, hindi naman siguro tayo nilikha, hindi naman siguro nilikha ang nature ng walang purpose. And yung mga tao daw na against sa purpose na iyon, yung mga taong pumipigil sa kapwa nila tao na mamuhay ng mabuti at masaya. And kinukonsider nila yon as unnatural or immoral. Law have a purpose too, to provide justice. From a natural law perspective, ay ang isang batas na hindi nagbibigay ng hustisya ay tinuturing na hindi batas. Ang legal positivism naman ay isang legal na theory na kabaligtaran ng natural law. So, ano nga ba ang pinagkaiba nilang dalawa? Sa natural law kasi, kapag ang isang batas hindi nagbibigay ng hustisya, ikukonsider na nila itong hindi batas. And sa legal positivism naman, naniniwala sila na kahit may malalim na depekto ang isang batas, ay maituturing pa rin isang batas. Tulad ng sabi ko kanina sa key takeaway, malalaman natin kung bakit sinabi ng natural law na ang tama at mali ay nakabase sa ating pangangatwiran at pag-uugali. Kasi sa natural law, para sa kanila, ang tama at mali ay likas sa tao. Ang tao ang lumilikha ng tama at mali at hindi nilikha ng lipunan or court judges. For example, sa school, may batas silang pinatupad na no uniform, no entry. So para sa natural law, nakabase sa sarili natin kung tama o mali ba itong batas na ito. Na kung para sa atin, kapag hindi ba natin sinunod yung yon, mali na tayo or masamang tao na tayo agad. Aspect of natural law theory date back to Plato, who posited existence of transcendental forms. They said na ang good, true, and beautiful ay makikita sa buhay ng tao. And makikita daw ang kabutihan ng isang tao kung sanhi at bunga ito ng karunungan. Kung kanina pinag-uusapan natin kung ano para kay Plato ang natural law, ngayon naman tatalakayin natin kung ano ang natural law para sa Stoics. Stoics asserted that the universe existed according to a rational and purpose order. And it means na ang isang rational being na namumuhay sa batas na natural law is nagdidikta ng mga aksyon na naaayon sa kabutihan. And also according to Stoics, natural law is born from the universe and cosmos. Saint Thomas Aquinas, if natural law is born of the Greeks, it comes of ages with the Roman Catholic because Saint Thomas ang pinaka-famous na natural law theorist. And si Saint Thomas ay may ibang paniniwala dun sa natural law. Para sa kanya, ang natural law ay isang integral to divine providences. He believes that natural law is an internal law na itinatag ng Diyos.
In Aquinas' discussion of natural law, there are two key features of natural law. First is God's role, and the second is human's role. In God's role, natural law is just one of the aspect of divine providence, and in human's role, as the recipient of natural law that constitute the principle of practical rationality, ang isang principle ay ginajudge kung ito ba ay reasonable or unreasonable. Aquinas affirms in his thesis that the natural law is a participation in eternal law. Sinasabi dito na ang lahat ng nilikha ay dapat na nakikilahok sa eternal law. Ang non-rational being ay maaari lamang magka-share dito because it determines their action na hindi free at hindi nanggaling sa kanila. Ito ay resulta ng God's will in accordance with God's eternal plan. Aquinas defines it is a rule of action, and as God has care of entire universe, God gave us the existence to be free, and accordance with principle of enough reason to justify ang ating pag-iisip tungkol sa mga principle of reason and as law. Natural law and practical rationality is a defense of a contemporary natural law theory of practical rationality. This means that the natural law are universally binding by nature and knowable by nature. Sinasabi rito na ang universal moral standard ay natutuklasan sa pamamagitan ng consistent na paggawa at pagpili para sa mabuti sa halip na masama. Humans are born with certain morality that guides their behaviors. This means that what is right and what is wrong are the same to everyone and everywhere. Under natural law, ang lahat ay afforded the same rights, gaya ng right to live and right to happiness.
Ethics of natural law. You are passenger of a ship sailing across the ocean. Suddenly, your ship is undertaken and powerful storm. Tumatakas ka sa isang lifeboat, then kasama mo ang 25 na passengers na nasugatan at nalaman mo na hindi makakaligtas ito sa loob ng isang linggo. Dahil alam mo yung lifeboat is 22 na lang yung mga natira na pagkain, mga tubig, ganon. Natural law theories act of violence like murder work against our humanly purpose to live a good life. Sa pagtapon ng isang nasugatan ng pasahero sa dagat ay isang hindi likas na gawa na nagkakasalungkat ng batas. Ang natural law ay batas na pinagbabawal sa pagpatay na nasugatan. John Finnish and the Natural Basic Goods. John Finnish is an Australian legal scholar and professor of law of Oxford. In his book Natural Law and Natural Rights in his 1980, he presented a set of 7 fundamental goods for humankind. The 7 fundamental goods are life, knowledge, friendship and sociability, play, ascetic experience, practical, reasonable, religion, our connection with and participation with the others transcend individual humanity. The basic goods serve as an explanation of why do things any worthwhile activity as worth doing because it participates in one or more basic goods. Other positive qualities like freedom, humanity, and we achieve one or more of the basic goods. Other motivation for action, pursuit of pleasure, of material gain, and motivated by human inclination. The 9 requirements of practical reason. One of the 7 basic goods in practical reason. Are you the participate in this making rational decision, participate the others good, or project to pursue by making a moral decision? Kailangan mong i-fulfill yung 9 na requirements yung requirements mo na self-evident. The 9 principles are: you should view your life as whole and not live moment to moment. Kailangan mong unawain ang iyong produkto kaysa sa iba. Example, isang mag-aral na mas unahin ang kaalaman na mataas kaysa sa trading. Pangalawa, basic goods apply equally to the people na maaari kang maging interesado sa sarili hanggang ikaw ay pinakamahusay na at maalagaan ang iyong sarili mo, gano'n.
Requirements of practical reason. You should make sure that you do not become obsessed with a particular project and keep the perspective that the project is participation of a basic good. You should calculate the plan of your actions so that they are the most efficient in utilitarian sense and do the most good. This is a principle of practical reasoning which has emphasized the importance of considering the bigger picture and not getting too focused on individual tasks. You should never commit an act that directly harms a basic good, even if it will indirectly benefits a different basic good. For example, you should not kill even if it will indirectly save more lives later. Emphasizes the importance of duty and moral rules, and the idea that moral actions are those that are done for their own sake, not because of the consequences might bring. Decision using the 7 goods and the 9 requirements. Other positive qualities like freedom or humility are merely methods by which we can achieve one or more of the basic goods. Other motivation for action such as a pursuit of pleasure or material gain are misguided and motivated by human inclination rather than practical reason. Seven goods provide the fundamental justification for our actions, while the 9 virtues equip us with the character traits necessary to effectively pursue and protect these basic goods. It is emphasized acting rationally and morally rather than being guided solely by personal interest or emotion. There is plenty of scope for discretion in this system. If you are deciding what to do with your day, you could choose to listen to music or to go hiking or to go to a party or to volunteer for disaster relief. These are all in principle valid choices. Some choices are wrong. The murdering people or spending all day in an empty room doing nothing, but there are many equally correct choices. This means that all 7 goods are equally important and no one good is inferior to another. In theoretical reasons, if 2 statements contradict each other, then at least one of them must be false, because in this theoretical reasons, there is strict logic and rules that must be followed. However, in practical reasons, there can be 2 contradictory acts that both morally correct choices. This is because in practical reasons there is a consideration of the context, the situation, and the individual's free will. The 7 goods are all equally fundamental and do not exist in a hierarchy. Therefore, although some acts are wrong because they do not participate in a basic good, there is no single correct act. This is an important distinction between theoretical and practical reasons. In theoretical reason, if 2 statements contradict, then at least one of them must be false. In practical reason, there can be 2 contradictory acts that are both morally correct choices. It is up to a human's free will to choose which act they will adopt. We have 3 choices here. First, free choices. This implies that one has the freedom to choose or to make choices based on personal preferences and interests. Second, a good choices, which implies that some choices are considered good or beneficial. And last, bad choices, the actions that are considered wrong or unethical such as murdering someone. In these ways, the seven good and the nine requirements specify the overarching overarching structure and goals, but do not determine the minutiae of day-to-day life or even big decisions like the choice of career. Those good requirements do not dictate every detail of our daily life, but the specific of how to live a good life are up to individual interpretation and personal circumstances. Natural law versus positive law. The theory of natural law believes that our civil laws should be based on morality, ethics, and what is inherently correct. This is in contrast to what is called positive law or man-made law, which is defined by statute and common law and may or may not reflect the natural law. Natural law theories posits that laws should be based on moral principles and what is inherently correct, rather than on statutes or common law. On the other hand, positive law, also known as man-made law, is defined by statute and common law, and may or may not reflect the principles or natural law.
Positive law is enacted by a government and enforced by individuals within a jurisdiction. It varies depending on the country and legal system. Natural law, which suggests universal principles of justice and morality, is often used to evaluate positive laws. However, positive laws are shaped by the political, social, and cultural context and may not always perfectly reflect natural law principles. Natural law theory asserts universal moral principles rooted in human nature, transcending individual beliefs, cultural practices, and legal systems, based on objective moral truths. Natural law theory emphasizes understanding and adhering to fundamental principles governing human behavior and morality, regardless of whether actions are considered natural or unnatural. It supports actions that align with broader moral principles promoting human flourishing, well-being, and the common good. Natural law theory, a foundational principle in ethics frameworks, suggests that action should be aligned with basic needs for survival and procreation. However, morality can be influenced by cultural norms, individual circumstances, and consequences, requiring a broader view. There are two main objections of natural law theory, both raised during the Enlightenment period, 17th and 18th centuries. The first, advanced by Scottish philosopher David Hume, is that natural law theory conflates that which is the case with that without to be the case. One cannot, as Hume pointed out, logically derive a moral imperative and value judgment simply by observing facts of nature. Natural law theories often argue, for example, that because God's laws and laws of nature in this case dictate the purpose of sexual intercourse is reproduction, it is unnatural and thus immoral to have sex for any other purpose. The fallaciousness of this reasoning is especially obvious when we consider natural tendencies which are seemingly irreconcil- irreconcilable with ethical behavior. For example, if one concedes that it is natural for human beings to care for themselves before strangers, then one must also accept that this ought to be the case. Rachel's 2007, 60 to 61. Human reason plays a crucial role in understanding nature's law, and it is a moral obligation to adhere to these laws promoting harmony and fulfilling moral responsibilities. The critique of natural law theory highlights its reliance on cause and effect, ignoring moral principles. This perspective challenges the notion of morality as inherent in nature or divine sources. Despite scientific advancements, natural law theory remains influential in certain philosophical and religious circles, with ongoing philosophical debates shaping ethical discourse. The critique of natural law theory highlights its reliance on cause and effect, ignoring moral principles. This perspective challenges the notion of morality as inherent in nature or divine sources. Despite scientific advancements, natural law theory remains influential in certain philosophical and religious circles, with ongoing philosophical debates shaping ethical discourse.
Here's is the some sources of this report, and that's all. Thank you for listening.